Cross and Noel, welcome back to the latest episode of Fierce and Devotion with me, Tim. I am joined by Andrew Pollard, aka Cultured Left Peg on Twitter, Liam Randall, aka Fezbob on Twitter, and Andrew Gilpin. For anybody who doesn't know, his email address is andrewgilpin@hotmail.com.
No, let's not give out the email address.
Just to throw that out
let's not give out the email address.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, it's too late now. As always, sponsored by the wonderful people at Fat Boar. Before we go any further, because it's quite a stacked agenda today, which we'll come to in a minute, Andrew, you have something to tie in with the good people at Fat Boar, who also oversee the fine establishment at the Maesgwyn Hall.
Yes, they do. For better or for worse, for my sins, I will be at the Maesgwyn on this coming Friday. Just a last plug. So there's a couple of tickets left. It's nearly sold out. Where on Friday we're getting a reunion together of the team that beat Arsenal in the FA Cup many moons ago, January the 4th, 1992, to raise some money for a cracking cause. Brian Flynn's confirmed, Kevin Reeves, I believe Steve Wade, the old physio's coming by, Carl Connolly, Wayne Phillips, Gareth Owen, Andy Thackeray, who is the loveliest player in all of Wrexham history by all accounts, as I've spoken to in the last couple of days. Maybe Mark Sartori, possibly Brian Carey. It's a great lineup we've got coming on, and it's just a 3-course meal, nice bite to eat. Well, I'm sure we'll have the game on in the background on the big screen, and then a chat with all the lads. There's some photo opportunities there as well. So it's something I'm very much looking forward to. It should be a great, obviously Super Stevie Watkin and Mickey Thomas. I left those two out. I mean, they only scored the goals. It's fine, and I'm fingers crossed we can do something with Gordon Davis. I've been in touch with Fulham to try and get him to come, but yeah, it's coming along nicely. It should be a great day, a great cause, a great evening, a few tipples, and also as a little bonus, I believe a certain psycho is popping along as well.
Nice. So
Anthony
20
Jones
quid
as well.
per person.
Yeah,
well worth it. Get down there. There's a lot of glorious times before the Hollywood takeover days, that being the pinnacle of it all, I think. So Get down there, enjoy it, show those players some respect. They've earned it. We've heard a lot of the stories, but there's so many more stories we haven't heard from those players. Especially get Mark Sartori. He's the most gangster, Sopranos looking Wrexham footballer there's ever been. So go and check him out. He's had a very good.
On that topic, when I spoke to him a couple of weeks ago, I've never spoke to Mark in my life, and I managed to get his number and give him a text saying like, "Oh, we're doing this. Any chance you might fancy it? No worries if not." He rang me on the beach in Italy after maybe a couple of beers, and we had a right old chinwag about lots of stories. So yeah, Carlo he's 50-50 at the moment. He's trying to jiggle a few things around with work, so hopefully he can join us. But yeah, it'll be a cracking evening either way.
Tim, can I add something?
Yes.
Newsletter. This week we've made it free. We made it free because it was absolutely stacked. It was full of stuff. And we thought, you know what? If there's any week we're going to make it free, let's make it this week. So, Tim, maybe if you can share that link somewhere on the bio, you can click on it. You can see the newsletter in all its glory. You can sort of see and ask yourself, is this worth 28 pence a week? There's the QR code if you just want to go and subscribe. But that's how much it costs. It's going to go up at the end of the month. But I think there's a lot there, and you can try before you buy. And if you don't like it, well, just don't tell us.
Yeah, don't tell me that I was wrong in comparing the new Wrexham home shirt to a Dragon's ball bag, and in the same sentence managed to get Kylie Minogue's derriere in there. Anyway, I digress. Let's get into it because there's a lot to discuss since we last recorded. Full disclaimer, no cactuses were harmed in the making of today's episode. If you don't get that little quip, then you've been living
this next 10 minutes ain't going to be for you if you don't get that.
Yeah, well, yeah. So anyway, let's before we come to that, because everybody will know what we're talking about, let's just go to the game. Obviously, the lads have flown over. They played their first game in the US, AFC Bournemouth. At the time of recording this was last night. Stayed up until gone 2 a.m. to watch it. Was it worth it? Probably. Anybody else watch it? Or was it just me that decided to take the plunge?
Did you say it was a cacti?
It was a cacti? Yes. Right. So you've done that.
The penny's dropping there. The penny's going.
Yeah, I get the joke. It's just you can tell by my face is stone. What I thought about it.
Well, that's worse. That's a worse reaction than my Book of Okonkwo entries. That's how low you've
at least I didn't die inside when you told that joke.
Yeah. Obviously, we're gonna try and be as concise as we can because we've got a good guest join us in sort of 15, 20 minutes or so. Rog Bennett from the Men in Blazers Media Network is going to join us. AFC Bournemouth won, Wrexham won, own goal put us ahead. They got back into it, but overall, I thought we performed very, very well. To be perfectly honest, I thought we adjusted ourselves really well, looked solid defensively. Arthur made several good saves in the second half when they came out all guns blazing. Could have won it at the death. Stephen Fletcher volley straight down the neck of the goalkeeper. Andy, what was your overall thoughts, or do you not give too much credence to pre-season? What's your overall view on pre-season in general on that game?
I think it's a really good result. I really do, because you look at the strength of that Bournemouth side. There's some good players in there. Metham, who's a Welsh international. You know, they weren't holding back. I know you can sort of say that, okay, it's Premier League and they're going to be a week behind in preparations than Wrexham will be because they start a week later. But still, it's a Premier League side. Bournemouth stayed up easily last season. They've got a really progressive manager. And to draw and you could have won it, I think it's brilliant. I just think it sort of shows how we're stepping up each time. You know, we need to step up in quality every time we go up in a league. We brought in good players. We're able to hold our own against the likes of Bournemouth, albeit in a friendly. But you know, last time we played a Premier League side for the first game in a pre-season tour, we lost 5-0 and we didn't even lay a glove on them. Well, this was a lot different, and I'm really pleased with the start we've made.
Liam, did you stay up to the small hours to pour over it, or did you catch up on it this morning?
I was keeping up with it on the live match thread on Red Passion for the first half, and then I gave up and went to sleep, a bit like election night, really. But no, it's when I first saw the lineup, I was a bit unsure about that striking partnership, but from what I've heard, it sounded like Jack Marriott did well, had a couple of chances. Sam Dolby originally got awarded the goal before it was chalked off as an own goal. So, you know, I think players are they're gonna have to step up, but also it sounds like the intensity was really good. Yesterday, 2 different teams for each half, and neither did themselves, you know, sort of shame themselves or anything like that. So I think for where we are in the season, you can't be too unhappy with it whatsoever.
No, I mean, starting lineup, I mean, you look at it and thinking it's not going to be a million miles of what you'd expect on the opening day of the season against Wickham. Okonkwo, Evans, O'Connell, Cleworth, Barnett, Dobson, Jones, Cannon, McLean, Dolby, and Marriott. Andrew, just carrying on that thing around the strike partnership. Do you see Dolby and Marriott starting that opening game? I know it's still early days. There's a couple of preseason matches to go yet, but what's your overall thought process? And do you think it's almost certain we're going to get another player in?
Possibly, yeah. There might be somebody on my screen with a fantastic bubble butt chin in a Tottenham shirt that is behind this Zoom call. Who maybe he might come in and score some goals for us. But yeah, I can't see that strike partnership starting the season. What Liam was talking about with the goal being credited to Dolby, I did like the commentators where they were bigging up about the, you know, working on set pieces, getting balls into the box and attacking him, and then they realize, oh, it was an own goal. Like, right, okay, nice one. Well done there, lads. But I can't. I'm there's a lot of people who sit around me in the Mulrow stand who have no time in the world for Sam Dolby. In fact, one of my good pals who I sit right next to slates him all the time. I think there's a player there. I think it's very much a confidence player. But I can't see Dolby and Marriott starting the season. I think Marriott is pretty much a shoehorn in to start. But after that, I don't know. It depends. I guess how much the Playboy enjoys himself out in America. Whether maybe Ollie Palmer gets a start.
Andrew, just
Well,
quickly,
I mean,
sorry to interrupt. Was that shark there on your shelf last week?
It was, yeah. I even reached out and got it. It's a little.
I remember.
Yeah, it's a little like
right.
Funko Pop Shark thing.
I thought it was a bit of placement after the discussion we had last week. Now,
oh no, there's that. There's a bunch of Jaws rubber ducks actually, which is like 5 yards away that way, off camera. I mean,
my
maybe
mind's
I'll
still blown by that revelation, so I just had to mention it.
It's all good, man. It's all good.
going into the second half of that game, obviously he changed the entire team. Fletcher and Palmer up front, very experienced. I'm not sure what the average age is there. Harry Ashfield did really well. He made an impression.
He's had two. He's had two really good games, hasn't he?
Yeah, I thought so. Just equipped himself really well. And we also had debuts because I think 24 hours after we recorded, all of a sudden the club decided to drop 2 Monday evening new signings. So we've got goalkeeper Callum Burton and Sebastian Ravan, left wing back. Burton was the last at Plymouth Argyle, and Ravan has come from an undisclosed fee from Aston Villa. What do you make of those signings? Obviously, it's a weekend now. In terms of the goalkeeping position, Andy, does that pop Mark Howard down the pecking order? Obviously, McNicholas has gone out on loan to Rochdale. So, Okonkwo, Burton, I mean, and Howard is the main one.
Yeah, Burton's on the bench. Howard has been kept around to add his experience. He's good in the dressing room, but I think he realizes he's not going to get near the team at the moment. I think he's happy to take another year. I don't begrudge him that. He's been a part of this journey. But yeah, Burton's come in to sit on the bench. McNicholas needs games. I can understand Rochdale move. I can understand him going there. I think it's a smart move because if you've got a young keeper, you need to play him. You need to test him, and he ain't going to be tested at Wrexham. It's no point just chucking him into a Football League trophy match every now and again. He needs a full season as number one, and then we can see what we've actually got there. And I think it's a smart move getting Burton in. I was scratching my head a little bit at the beginning, but I can see the jigsaws sort of moving around now, and you've got an experienced player who can come in and really be an able deputy. Revan is the one that's really exciting me because we've said, I mean, I keep saying all the time that we're buying experience to do a job to get us out of a certain league, but at some point we need to buy potential. We've bought a lot of potential this summer transfer window. It's been a complete sea change to what the last few. And if you think of like Okonkwo's come in, if you think the likes of Brunt, and now you've got a proper bona fide, quick left wing back. It's what I've been wanting. I love James McLean, but I can see him in the centre, and I think this fella was very well rated at Villa and at Rotherham, where he spent a year last season. So he is another person who can nail a position and grow with the club, and I think that's fantastic. I'm overjoyed with that. I think it's a brilliant little signing, and I think we're able to help ourselves to some good young players because Premier League teams need to offload their youngsters for the financial fair play, and we're coming in and cherry picking some of the best. I'm really made up with that signing. I think he's going to be a real star, and it also means that Mendy needs to get fit and really get on his bike if he's going to get that position back.
We've had one for Ravan, and he's gone with Revan. Andrew and Liam, what are your takes? Andrew, what, are we saying Ravan or Revan?
Oh, I'm going to go Revan, just to throw a curveball in there. Why not?
People were even saying Raven. I think they must have been thinking of Dave Raven, or perhaps the wrestler Raven. I don't know.
Nice. I see what you're doing there.
Yeah,
Liam.
you enjoyed that.
Yes.
I'm going for Ravan, just because I think it sounds posh. So yeah,
I'll think that one. Yeah.
Okay.
Nice. Yeah. Obviously, we mentioned the players that we've had in, but in terms of Parky's actually gone on record this week in a few interviews and said we need more. We need more. Sean Hybe's over here now. He's flown in. Rob's here. We need to have a sit down and say, look, I need more if we're going to challenge this year, if we're going to be competitive. Is he basically saying, go out and get me a proven striker? Because we kind of need it. I think reading between the lines is pretty obvious, isn't it? That it's going to be that. That seems to be the most glaring part of the pitch now, where we just need something a bit different. Obviously, they brought the average age of the squad down, brought some pace into it, but we definitely need that pace up top now because with kind of Mullin out, we probably don't have a great deal, to be perfectly honest. So, is that what you're thinking, Andy? Is it just up top now? Is that the one? Yeah,
definitely. And I think he might try and bring someone in on loan. And I think Andrew alluded to the Spurs fella. who's been linked. But I think a bit of pace, a bit of potential, someone to really bridge the gap while Mullin gets fit. And we don't want to be rushing Mullin. But there again, if Marriott doesn't start firing soon, we will need a little bit more quality up top. And I think Wrexham haven't used the loan market yet, apart from Okonkwo. I think that's where they'll go, really. I don't think we need another striker in on a big long deal. I think someone to tide us over, like a season's long loan, I think will be great for us. There's nothing wrong with taking one of the Premier League's better youngsters and having them on loan. I mean, it's not how you long-term build a club, but I tell you what, it really helps you when you're in a bit of a pickle, and we are at the moment because Mullin's injured.
Well, this is Will Lancashire that we're talking about, who's highly regarded. Will Lancashire, not Lancashire, not Lancashire, right. Lancashire. Okay. Highly regarded at Spurs, and also today it's emerged that we've been looking at John McAtee from Luton.
Wow, that would be good.
You may remember him. He was at Grimsby, wasn't he, at that time?
Yeah, terrorised us, to be fair. Yeah,
terrorised us. I think he had 19 assists on loan at Barnsley last year. So rumours are rife that we really want him. Parky wants him badly. So those are the two names in the frame at the moment. Liam, if you got to pick one between Will Lancashire and John McAtee, you Parky, you can only have one. Which one are you picking?
I'd say McAtee, just because I think he's that difference maker. Yes, we've got lots of those in the team. I wonder, is he a bit similar to Elliot Lee? But obviously, at the moment, Elliot Lee's injured. Would you say no to a player like that who can completely change games, as we saw against us? No, you wouldn't. I would really love to see him here, and I think it's the type of signing that I think could really push us from being challenging for playoffs to, dare I say it, pushing for automatics.
Would he pass the knobhead test, Andrew?
I think he would, yeah. I think he would. And also, just from the games, seeing him against us, set pieces, very, 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 very handy on corners. It does seem like a smart get if we could get him. In terms of Will Lancashire, just very highly talked about as this great prospect that's going through at Spurs. I believe only 19 years of age. So it's. Yeah, it's. I mean, whoever we sign, I'm pretty sure, like 99% sure, they will pass the knobhead test because Parky does his due diligence. I know when we were after Humphreys in January, there was some concern from Parky about, yes, he's a very good player, but we're not totally sure on his attitude, and ultimately that never ended up happening. So yeah, I think whoever we get in, in Parky, I trust. I found it interesting with his interview where he talked about we need to go out, and it was almost essentially saying, yeah, we need to pull our finger out and get some other players through the door. But when he made those comments, he talked about if we want to challenge for the title, where I think I might even have said it on here, like I would happily take, like, give me 12th place consolidation next season. I'm a happy badger with that. No, shaking your head, but yeah, obviously Parky.
Might be, Rob and Ryan won't be. They need an onward trajectory with this club. They see this as an opportunity to really go through the leagues, and I think they want to go big next season.
There's other, again, we've talked about this in recent weeks. There's other elements of the club though that they're drastically playing catch up. It's almost like we've got a Lamborghini, but we're running it off like Fred Flintstone's feet, sort of thing at the moment, where it's like everything's very glitzy and pushing forward, but there's some fundamentals that need addressing first. So I think at some point in this journey, we need to be realistic and think there's got to be a not going backwards, but just like a tick over season or two where it's just everything just like plateaus for a little bit while the rest of the club catches up to the exposure that we've got, and then push on. I think this to me might be one of those seasons. But in terms of the choice between McAtee and Will Lancashire, again, I'm going to bring it up. Will Lancashire's got one of those like Peter Griffin ball chins that I'm all there for. I get won over by bollock chins, so I'd maybe give him a go. And also, I suppose it depends on the logistics, because we've heard like maybe an initial kind of 3-month loan deal with Lancashire. Sunderland are after him, Hull are after him, which that would suit us absolutely brilliantly. With McAtee, would it be a case of that would have to be a permanent transfer? Would it be a season-long loan? And then we've got to juggle the squad when Paul Mullin's back and fit. And it's a good conundrum to have.
Right, let's move this on to the topic that seems to be dominating a lot of people's thoughts in the last 24 hours or so. Wrexham women they lost heavily 9-0 to SoCal in their first game.
Tim, I'm going to be honest. Your microphone is incredibly crackly.
I'm glad that wasn't just me hearing that.
Yeah.
Thinking like, what was going on
Is
there?
that any better? I don't know. I'm having beset by issues.
That sounds
Still sounds the same.
Really?
Yeah, it's like Rice
Bit
Krispies,
Dalek-y.
snack, crackle, and pop.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. Wonderful. I don't know what else to tell you.
Try the connector on the mic and just see if it give it a turn it off and on again.
Hello. Is that better? Still the same.
No.
Well, what I'm going to do, I'll change it to the.
Yeah, just use the laptop mic. I think it's going to be.
It feels like you're rustling a bag of Wotsits down the microphone.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, there is. Is that any better? There we go. 1, 2, 3.
Nope.
No. Yes.
No.
Oh. No. Is that any better? Can anybody hear me? No.
Can hear you, but it's the excess things that we can hear.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest, Tim. Yeah, it's very crackly, that, mate. The fact that
Right, well, you'll have to carry on.
any normal podcast would edit this out, but
No, we're gonna roll with it.
no, absolutely, we're going to style this out.
Everyone's gonna have to sit in with us while Tim fixes his.
Well, Tim has real-time issues. Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
we'll crack on, shall we, with the subject to hand, which is so Rosie Hughes was interviewed on the red carpet for what I think I'm correct in saying was the launch event for the US tour. Both the men's and the women's team were present, and I don't know about anyone else, but I first saw it when someone clipped up some footage of it on YouTube, specifically where she was talking about what's it like in LA, and I think the comment was it's beautiful, the buildings, there's cactuses, it's not like Wrexham, and if it was Wrexham, the cactuses / plants would have been destroyed. Which I'm saying it out loud now. Yeah,
I don't get how pissed you are. You're not taking on a cactus.
Well, I was going to say that. Has anyone ever actually fought a cactus? And how many do you think you could take on?
There's been a high-profile battle of a cactus over the last couple of weeks, but let's not go there. Right. Yeah. I mean, Liam, what do you think? Do you think it's misguided comments? Do you think we're making too much of it? Because there's been a massive sort of storm about it on social media, and when I actually heard what she said, it wasn't as bad as I was expecting. But
I think it's that perfect storm of, I almost feel like there's like a pre-season madness where there's just this spell where there's not a lot happening. Everyone's sort of chomping at the bit, clutching at anything they can, sort of news-wise, and it's a bit like when there's a real dry spell and it doesn't take much to start a fire. And I think that's what this feels like. I'll be completely honest. I found the situation quite hilarious when people were talking about it last night, as sort of memes kicking around and stuff like that. But I've read some more stuff today, and I think it's tipped over the edge it's turned into a bit of a witch hunt, daft stuff like, oh, she should never wear the shirt again. I mean, you're talking about someone who's contributed more than 100 goals for the women's team. Much like Paul Mullin, I don't think the women's team would be where they are now without her. And it's misguided. It's one of those things. I get it. I've been in those situations where, say, in a work environment or something like that, and you've overheard someone slagging off Wrexham, and it gets your hackles up a bit. I won't lie, but I think you have to reflect. Someone said to me, like, what is your expectation of how well media trained a semi-professional footballer should be? And I got to be honest, my expectation would not be that high. Was it misguided? Yes. Did I find it funny at first? Yeah, I'll be honest, just because of the ridiculousness of the situation and people joking about stuff like, oh, take her to Skid Row to have a look round and that type of thing. But I think it's got to the stage now where people just need to get over it a bit.
I agree. It seems a bit overblown. Well, I guess the Cacti Kid could be there's a nickname there, ready and waiting. But the comments to me came across as naive, very daft, not particularly thought through. And when you talk about the what sort of media training do you expect the semi-professional footballer to have? There is that, but then the other side of that is, but we're not any, we're very, very different to any other semi-professional team in the fact that there's that public stage there, global stage, because of the documentary. There's an extra level of fame that comes with that, and people wanting to get accessibility to her. So she should have known better. It was a bit of a daft comment. It was she did. I'm pretty sure she meant nothing particularly egregious by it, or it's not great if you're representing a club, a brand, and you're saying derogatory comments about that club and that brand and that town. But it was said, it was a bit foolish. Like I said, it was a bit naive. It's not the big story. I don't think that people are making it. People calling for it to be fired, or flew back from the US to come back home and collect a P45. I think that's a little excessive for me. Yeah, she messed up a bit. It wasn't great. Let's move on. It's fine. And also, you get the backlash, the vitriol to those comments are just insane. And this is, the end of the day, this is a person who, yeah, even if she says something that we think is a bit daft and a bit stupid, or you could think it was really out of order, when you've got literally thousands of people piling on her on social media, calling for her to lose her livelihood, calling her like a complete disgrace to this club and to this town, then there is somebody on the end of those messages that may see those messages, and you've got to think of the impact on that. So to me, it's like I said, naive, a bit daft, but very much a storm in the teacup.
Tim, what do you think?
Yeah, the pile-on is unnecessary. I think the problem is because we're professional across the board now. You look at the men's team; everybody speaks so eloquently and highly of the club. The minute anybody kind of steps out of that zone and says something more on a personal level that's not directly representative of the club, it gets pounced upon. And I can understand why it has. Did it annoy me? Didn't massively annoy me, because the club, the town isn't beyond criticism. It has its problems, but that's the same at any town or city in the UK, if not most of the world. So I think it's just the way it was said and the manner in which it was said, a little bit foolish. Was it malicious? I don't think so. Said it. I think it was just the whole thing of why I respect people that respect their environment, as if to say that we don't, and we do. She has been in a role, professional working role, similar to myself, where you see the worst of the area. You scratch the surface, you see some not so great parts to it, but that's everywhere. It's everywhere. I think at worst it's kind of foolish. It's just ill-judged. It's ill-judged. I don't think anything will be said about it. I think the sort of, it just whipped up into a bit of madness where it's like, oh yeah, send her home, like Andrew said. I mean, come on, it was a daft thing to say, and I think it'll probably let her simmer down a little bit. She's very, very confident. She's definitely a character. The problem we've got is that we're used to having media trained robotic footballers that are dull. They're dull. And sometimes you need a maverick. And I'm not saying Rosie Hughes is a maverick, but you be careful for what you wish for. You want me to say something a little bit different about a referee, et cetera, et cetera. But there's a time, there's a place, there's a platform to say what she said. And those are neither of those things. So I'm sure she'll learn from it, and probably somebody will have a word in her ear and say, look, you need to kind of wind your neck in and just let you do your talking with your boots, which is what you're best at.
I think that is it. That's, to me, it's like, hopefully it's a learning experience, because as you mentioned, she's clearly a very confident young woman who, as a top level footballer, you have to have an element of arrogance to your game a lot of the times. I mean, but you've got to balance it out while being humble. And I think she does view herself. I saw an interview with her where she talks about, like, yeah, I'm a superstar. I know I'm a superstar. Now people are seeing what I've seen since I thought since I was a kid. And that's good to have that belief, and it's good to put yourself out there, and it's good to be open to doing all these interviews and taking the spotlight, because some people don't want the spotlight and other people like to hide off in the background and let Rosie take this. But I think with this, yeah, hopefully it is a bit of a learning experience, and you look at the people who we've had who have been media trained, who maybe are, don't say bland, but they're very more professional in how they come across, but they've been coming from higher levels. We've got a lot of players now that have been playing Championship League One before League Two, even when we're in the National League, who have been at that higher level, who've had that training and experience. And I'm not sure whether the ladies have. But yeah, hopefully it's a learning experience. It was silly comments to me, and that's nothing more, nothing less. Let's move on from it.
Yeah, fair enough. Before we introduce our guest, I think just to have my sort of quick say on it. Look, you know, I slag off Wrexham, but I'm from Wrexham, and I certainly wouldn't want to do it in a public forum. But you know, as Tim said, the town is not above criticism because it isn't all sunshine and roses. But you know, at the end of the day, it's a town that, on the back of this documentary and what Ryan and Rob have done, is trying to do better. And I think we have grown as a town. I think we're all trying to be a better version of ourselves. And I think we are quite good at promoting the best bits of the town now. And certainly it's what she sort of said about you know, not having respect for your town. No American or North American would think that if they came across to Wrexham. Because
but she, by her saying that, though, that puts the idea out there. That's the other caveat to that. That opens that notion of like, right, we got no respect for our own town. I think we do. I mean, I can say from my experiences, I've never seen a beaten up flower bed. But by just when you hear those comments, it's like, well, if you've not been to the area, it sows that seed of doubt of like, do these people really care about the town? Yeah, we do. It's a lovely old town. It's got its quirks, it's got its downsides, as all places do. But it's our town, and we do respect it. And yeah.
Okay, it was a nice way to finish. Right, Tim, do you want to introduce our guest?
Oh, I don't think he needs too much introduction. I mean, look at the man. He's bedecked in some sort of lovely sweatshirt. He's got the full Men in Blazers microphone thing going on. Far more professional than us. I mean, my laptop's already gone kaput before you even arrived, hence why I'm working off my phone. Probably sounds like I'm in some sort of lockup somewhere. Anyway, welcome to the pod. Who's been very good with his time, Mr. Rog Bennett from the Men in Blazers Media Network, an all-conquering thing. I looked at your Wikipedia entry. It's very, very long. But thanks for joining us first and foremost. How are you?
Oh, it's a joy to be with you. I have listened to your show for a long, long time, and it's genuinely a delight to be with you all on a hot Sunday afternoon in New York.
How hot is it there? Come on, just tell us. Let's just
tell me, because I'm going tomorrow. I'll be in New York tomorrow evening. So do I need to bring away a raincoat?
I think you need to bring your SPF 50 and just slap it all over, and you'll be okay. I don't know. I know, like coming from Liverpool, like I do, I normally melt when it gets over. I don't even know what centigrade is anymore. I've been here so long, but I'm worried for you boys when you get over here on tour. But may the heat be the greatest problem that your podcast and Wrexham experience in the season ahead.
Rog, thanks for coming on. Thanks for giving us your time, because I know you're busy with everything that's going on. Just give us a kind of. It's easy for us to sit here and go, oh yeah, we can see through the documentary that the growth of Wrexham in the States is having. But Andy went on the tour last year. You obviously live in America now as an American citizen. Just give us a kind of first-hand account of how you've witnessed it, because it's easy for us to say and see it by the documentary that clearly there's a growth there. But is it much bigger than what many of us are kind of expecting or anticipating? Because Andy had the shock of his life last year when he went on the tour, and having seen what's already happening so far on this tour, where there was about 10 people queuing up at the Bournemouth club shop and about 2,000 queuing up at the Wrexham shop before the game yesterday. Just give us an idea of how it's taken off.
It's enormous. I mean, first of all, football is enormous. You know, I came over here ahead of the last World Cup, 1994, and that was meant to make America a normal football-loving nation. But instead, it's remained in the wake of it. It was an enormously successful World Cup, but it was like a circus that kind of came and went. And when I came here, football remained like space to Captain Kirk, kind of the final frontier. 95, Everton were in the FA Cup final. Thank you, Barry Hall, Wrexham's greatest. Just couldn't even find it. The semi-final against Tottenham on television, there were like 390 channels, and I couldn't believe not one of them had Everton Football Club on. And I ended up having to call my dad long distance, when long distance really was long distance, and have him hold the phone to Radio City's radio commentary to follow along with the game. And that's changed dramatically for so many different reasons. The World Cup's coming here again in 2026. So finally, that will finish the job. America is now we've just done a survey about it. So I can actually answer your question accurately and specifically. Americans have fallen in love with football. Americans under the age of 30 for so many different reasons. And one of the things that's fascinating is that they're choosing a club to support without any geographical connections or restrictions. And they don't have like 3 or 4 generations. I grew up in Liverpool. I'm an Everton fan. I used to come with my dad. He's just passed away, but we used to go and watch Wrexham in the Joey Jones, I think the second coming of Joey Jones era. So, I used to come over and watch Wrexham when they were really Wrexham. To watch their rise has been a thing of wonder. It's been a thing of alchemy. To come from the northwest of England, to have lived through what we've lived in the Thatcher era, and see something positive, something hopeful, something optimistic occur in our region it's been beautiful and unbelievable. My dad, he did just pass away. He loved every single second of it. Paul Mullin, just loved watching, loved listening, loved it. It was like an act of levitation. And so the American audience has chosen these teams. And the thing that's fascinating, 43, we just did this study. You can get it online on our website. It's called From Sea to Shining FC. It's about how American soccer fandom, as they call it here, is similar to European fandom and different. And the main difference is that they're all in, like they're obsessed with football, just like, I was as a kid in Liverpool. But they support multiple teams because they're not kind of like geographically located. So you scratch an American, you ask them where they're from, and you say, who's their team? They'll say, my English team is Arsenal. My American accent is still terrible, even though I've lived there for like 80 years. My German team is Dortmund. I like AC Milan, and I like Wrexham. Like that's 43% support 3 teams or more, which is insane and remarkable and beautiful. And Wrexham don't threaten any other team. Like you can have been, like a lot of them have got like Tottenham Hotspur tattoos. 10 years ago, they didn't even watch football. Now they got a Tottenham Hotspur tattoo. They don't know how it got there, but you can support Tottenham and Wrexham. Wrexham's like a bolt-on to their fandom. And so you have an enormous fandom here. In the study, we did actually ask about Wrexham, and the Football League in general was the second biggest league that the Americans wanted the coverage to ramp up. Bigger than Italy, bigger than Spain, bigger than, anywhere. They are obsessed. And I can talk a little bit about why, if that's fascinating. But I was on the tour last year. I was in Philadelphia watching these Wrexham fans. I met with Chelsea right after you'd played them in North Carolina, 55,000 fans. It was a sellout there. I don't know if any of you were at the game. And I can tell you the Chelsea person I spoke to was like, why was it 45% Wrexham fans? How could that be? We won the Champions League 2 or 3 seasons ago. How the heck was it like 45% red? How was it Wrexham packed out there? And I said to the Chelsea person, I was like, mate, they've only been doing this for 2 or 3 years over here in the United States. Just project that forward. Give it like 5, 6, 7 years. And percentages will totally flip. So it is delirious. I think the opportunity is massive here. Obviously, for you guys who've been going your whole life home and away, for your identity is Wrexham to the core. It's the biggest tension in football is the difference between the local and the global. Some of it's welcome, some of it's not. But I can tell you it's enormous here, and only going to make up a word, only going to get enormous up.
Enormouser, nice. Where's the weirdest place, the most surreal place you spotted a Wrexham shirt? There's got to be something. It's got to be somewhere.
The weirdest place that I have spotted a Wrexham shirt. I mean, getting to the point where it's like, what's the weirdest place I have not spotted a Wrexham shirt? I mean, it's just been the Euros and the Copa America here. So we have gone across America on tour, and you will see Wrexham license plates. Like in the Midwest, someone will have got Wrexham spelt completely wrong, but you have to kind of jam it in past the license out and fit it into their schema. But like you will see, and we love getting. I mean, I do this very odd things that make me happy. Football tattoos on Americans make me very happy, and license plates make me utterly delirious to see a Wrexham license plate in Missouri. As someone who again grew up in the northwest of England in a pretty, I mean, you were all young guys, but in like if you grew up in the 80s and someone came back in time and said, "Don't worry, in 2020." Americans will be driving their family vehicles, their SUVs for Wrexham on the license plate. I'd be like, oh my God, a glimmer of hope, a glimmer of hope.
Rog, can I ask you about your sort of background a bit? Because you say I get the feeling you're an Everton fan. You sort of moved across in the 90s, was it, to the US? What sort of drove you there? Were you always like planning in the back of your mind, I'm gonna bring football to the nation, or is it something that sort of you just sort of fell into, really?
I grew up in Liverpool. I actually wrote a book about this called Reborn in the USA. I grew up in Liverpool in the Thatcher era, when Liverpool, like the whole northwest of England and Wales certainly, was just forgotten about politically, culturally, economically, kind of cut adrift. I grew up when Liverpool was the city council had a serious debate about whether to cede from the rest of England and become a independent republic, an independent socialist republic, which I always wished would happen. I was aching for it to happen. A bit like,
yeah, I remember.
Can you imagine? I'm sure it would have ended really, really well. But like, it was like in my like kid head, it would be like we'd be like Monaco or Monte Carlo or whatever, they're Liechtenstein or whatever, but Scouse. And it never happened. But a lot of the social and economic forces that kind of shaped Wrexham, I mean, that was what Liverpool was like. And Liverpool was a port city. And so the connection that many Scousers have was like to America. Everything rolled off the docks first. It's no coincidence that the Beatles came from Liverpool. Rock and roll pouring in off the boats. Have a bit of that. And so we always dreamed, always looked outwards, always dreamed of America. A lot of Scousers adore America. And I kind of came of age in a really dark time. There wasn't a lot of hope. There was the heroin epidemic. It was pretty dark. And I kind of, in my imagination, America, all the sitcoms, all the music, Public Enemy, the Chicago Bears, Super Bowl winning team, the Ferris Bueller, all that crap, like just made this place that I'd never been to, but made this place, America, seem like a place where life could be lived in color, whereas I felt like I was living it in black and white. So right after university, I came out here as an illegal alien and just never left. So I definitely didn't. I mean, I was like, when I got here, I was like, yes, I'm gonna cover football and I'm gonna start a media network. I was like, just how can I make enough money to pay rent? I was in Chicago, and just hustled, and it's hilarious. And it was very much, I would say, a short-term piece of thinking. Every month was like just trying to be a waiter or a baker or whatever could get the job done. And fast forward, I think it was the 2006 World Cup when, 94 was meant to, as I said earlier, put football over the top. I saw a bigger audience being left behind after every World Cup. Like, you could track this growth. You really, really could. World Cup to World Cup. In 2006, the commentator on ESPN said, the world's most famous footballer, Charlie Beckham, takes the field. And I just shouted at my television screen. I was like to my wife, I was like, oh my God, if only they had someone who knew what they were talking about covering the football, it could be so much bigger here. I really felt it. And my wife's like, as she always does, she's half listening. She's like, why don't you go and do it, love? And so, I mean, very much I kind of did. I called up ESPN and realized that they didn't really have anybody who really, in those days, it was baseball broadcasters who were then commandeered to cover the World Cup. They did as good a job as they could have done. And so really started in 2006. And I guess the rise of football on cable. So it was suddenly very, very available here. the Premier League in particular, but the Champions League also. And then rise of podcasting, which was very cheap technology in terms of connecting an audience, and also, EA Sports FIFA, just a rise in popularity of that game over in the United States, which sensitized an entire generation to the Star Wars cantina of players and clubs and tournaments, just made them all realize that, controlling Messi was like one experience, controlling Ronaldo was a very different one. And suddenly you had this massive audience able to follow along week to week, and everything's kind of come off the back of that. And I'd say Wrexham play a really important part in it right now. They play, it's such a massive profile, such a massive funnel, such a massive story, a really pure and incredible story, a remarkable story at a very dark time, not just for football, but for the world. That you guys, you have become, and I don't know how it feels. I mean, I listen to your show regularly, and I know ultimately you're in it, living it. But it's, there's something that's been put together, which makes you the world's tiniest micro powerhouse in the world. Just the jerry-rigged reality of celebrity plus cable network plus incredible footballers personality-wise, plus an incredible fan base, plus an incredible town, and an incredible journey so far. It's a remarkable, I would say it is a remarkable juggernaut in the sporting landscape over here, and I don't know if you feel that, if you sense that, but Wrexham are massive.
You know what, Tim sort of alluded to it. Yeah, I came across to Philadelphia. I did Chapel Hill as well. I couldn't believe not only the sort of enthusiasm. I've sort of say a lot of times I met people and they loved the documentary. They got into it that way, but then they take an American view on it, so they absolutely bone up on all the stats, right? Absolutely, they know everything about. They know stuff I don't know. About players, about history and things like that. They really take that in, and then they want to talk to someone about it. But their mate next door, he's still a Packers fan or he's still a Patriots fan, and so they drive 12, 15 hours, which isn't long in America, to come to Philadelphia to stand in a pub next to me and talk about Wrexham. And they're there, they're doing stuff like saying to me, "Oh, I'm not boring you, am I?" I went, "No, because at the end of the day, my club, I've got the opportunity now to speak to you about my club in an American city, and you're absolutely bang into it." I've spent the last probably 30, 40 years of my life trying to get people interested in Wrexham FC. Trying to sort of maybe hope that I can jog something in them, and they could be from North Wales, they could be from elsewhere, but really try and get them to be a part of it. And all of a sudden, it's ready-made. And what Ryan and Rob have done is given it to the world. And I find it, I just don't feel that it's such a unique way to run a football club. I don't think it could be really replicated again. And I'm just so pleased that you guys are really giving it a lot of attention. You've got Tommy on board, who I think does a great job. And coming out to Vancouver, we're looking forward to that. It's just you're helping perpetuate this, and I think it is, as you said earlier, a really good news story.
Well, it's an amazing. So we are. I mean, first of all, Tommy Kaus. We're very lucky to have met him and to have him week to week kind of narrate the experience through his eyes. To an American audience. We're very lucky that the players are, I think, so thoughtful, so reflective. To listen to Paul Mullin, to listen to Elliot Lee. I mean, would anyone know Elliot Lee in the United States? Were it not for the Wrexham experience, he'd be a very good footballer at another team, but there'd be thousands of Elliot Lees. But the reality is he's very reflective and thoughtful and humble, I think, and incredibly there's a real sense of gratitude and a self-awareness to all of these human beings. So when they come on the show, you're listening to a I think real remarkable career journeys, remarkable moments. It's incredibly nourishing. Look, it's a chaotic time here in the world right now. I don't mean about football. I'm not talking about Everton Football Club even, where it's perpetually chaotic. I mean, the world is a dark and challenged place. And I think there is something truly beautiful. You said it can't be replicated. I don't know if it can. It's not just Rob and Ryan. There's something remarkable about Wrexham, the spirit of Wrexham, the soul of the fan base, the city, about Wales, its history. It's incredible journey. The Welsh, just the rise in Welsh pride, Welsh national pride. Wrexham is a totem of that. When Tommy first came on, and he talked about how when he went with his granddad for the first time to the racecourse ground, just to see Welsh flags so proudly adorning the side, it just set his soul on fire. I think all of these things are unique and remarkable. And it is in our day and age. We're living in an angry world. I mean, Gareth Southgate said that ahead of the final. I mean, they lost. And I'm sure everyone's delighted. I mean, in Liverpool, we care about the English team. Only, I think, a little less than you care about the English team in Wales. But he said, I mean, he did say something I thought was quite poignant. He said, we'd like to win. We'd like to bring, and respect to him, he said fleeting happiness, I think. He didn't say happiness. He knew it would be fleeting because football can't cure anything at the end of the day. It's just, the feelings are truly fleeting. But he said, I hope it brings fleeting joy to an angry nation. I think I'm paraphrasing, but only slightly. It is a bloody angry world. And there is something incredibly beautiful that's embedded in the Wrexham story. I mean, I find it deeply moving to walk around Wrexham now and see pubs coming in, to see restaurants coming in. It's unbelievable in the northwest of Britain. To see after the economy has been left at times just a tank, to see green shoots going in. I find it incredibly moving. And so Wrexham do refract that. And we're in politics, we're seeing it at the moment. When you are struggling, there's often a pathway to anger very, very quickly, just anger and destruction. And I think there's something very embedded in the Wrexham story, which is obviously about football. It's hyper local. You guys are on a journey that I can't believe. Like, even though I love Wrexham and I'm adoring every step of the way, I don't believe that for a second, to experience it firsthand as you guys are, week to week to week to week. I wouldn't compare those two things. But even secondhand, 1 degree removed, it's so bloody uplifting. It is a ray of light in a very, very dark world, and that's why I think ultimately Rob and Ryan, I think, are doing quite a humble job, messaging wise, comms wise, leadership wise. But I think embedded in the heart of it is that the Wrexham story is such an unbelievably joyous one, positive one, like a slice of optimism in a world in which that's such an altogether rare currency.
Just on the, you mentioned This Week in Wrexham with Tommy. I mean, that was obviously well received through the network. And are you looking at doing it again for the upcoming season?
Yeah. So we are hosting the team live on Thursday in Vancouver, live on stage, which is hilarious. I wish I could remember the name of the theatre, but it's been that kind of a summer. We're going to be live on stage in Vancouver. You can get tickets via our social or the Men in Blazers website, meninblazers.com. July 25th. We're going to have Parky up on stage. God, we've not even talked about Parky. We're taping this moments after the president has just dropped out of the race, talk about a time of turmoil. And I'm thinking about who I'd like to lead the country. I'm like, Parky, get Parky on. What can't be solved with the creative use of the word fuck as an adjective, pronoun, conjunction, all of it. He's just amazing. So Parky, Humphrey Carr, and a ton of the players are going to join me live on stage to relive what was. and what is, which is all part of like an extension of This Week in Wrexham. And we are going to continue it next season because it has been magic. I mean, Tommy is such a talented human being. We are so lucky to have found him. People adore him. But his rise, your story, your journey, and particularly the away days have been utterly magical. And we're very lucky to have this opportunity. You know, Stoke, which is the cold brew coffee, which I've had in my refrigerator for years, and have adored them coming to you guys and naming the stadium. And then this almost making that partnership between them and Wrexham come to life over here on the weekly has been magical. We've learned so bloody much about storytelling. We've learned so bloody much about how to shoot just on cell phones, which is technology. Steve Ellis is Tommy's producer. He's an amazing man in his own right. Another Evertonian, a Scouser. But I've got to tell you, he's fallen. The Everton thing, which I think is about 36 years of his life, has almost melted away. It's like watching Dances with Wolves. He's just gone completely. He's forgotten who he is. Old Stevie Ellis. And so, yeah, definitely. I can't wait for the season.
I can vouch for that. I can vouch for that because at Colchester, when Max Clueth scored the winner, we all erupted. I'm not kidding. I'm not sure if it actually made the cut or not, but Stevie just stumbled backwards, and I was basically holding him like a prize carp. He was like in my arms, and he was like backwards with the camera, just going berserk. I was like, God, he really gets it as well. So yeah, that was a.
I mean, he does get it. He does get it. And he. I mean, we have when we're in the edit. He's the one fighting for the songs. Like if we're like, you know what, let's just kind of, the story kind of stops here when you do the minute and a half of chants. He's like, oh, we got to have the chants in there. It was all kicking off this week when we dropped that one. I'm like, Stevie, who's we? You're like a season ticket holder at Everton Football Club. But you know, that is the joy of the journey. And those two, and you know Tommy super well, we're definitely on the journey. And I think that's at the core of, I mean, by the way, that's the brilliance of the show. Welcome to Wrexham in the first place, I think, was that it started off, I believe, in the first edit as really a football story. And then they realized that the true story in season one was the town, the people, the fans. And ultimately, that's what I think Americans are connecting to as much as anything, that passion, that longing, that sense of hope. The hope in, you know, having been had hope shredded over and over, ripped away from you, torn away from you, but to continue to cling on to it and then to begin to rise up. I mean, who doesn't want to believe about that? That's when football's at its best, when it transcends football. And that's what I think. That's why I think Americans are. I mean, you can be like a Cleveland Browns fan for so long before you want to feel good about being a Cleveland Browns fan, and Wrexham make you feel that everything, make you feel that everything is possible.
You've only got a couple of days now to get a Parky for President sign made up. You've got to be walking out on stage with that.
Parky 2026.
Yeah,
no, 2024. Who be Parky's VP?
Yeah, you can be his running man. You can be his running mate.
I just do his dirty tricks. He doesn't want me front and center. I'm a liability for any serious president. Who'd be Parky's VP candidate though? Who'd run on the ticket?
Humphrey?
Is the world ready for Steve Parkin? As I'm not sure if it's ready for Vice President Steve Parkin.
I tell you, it should be. I tell you, could get different demographics in. Wayne. Wayne in Wrexham. Well, you know him. I mean, you can finish that sentence. Wayne in Wrexham. ... Wayne in the United States is. I don't like to be hyperbolic, but man's a sex god.
He's a very burnt sex god, according to Rob McCann's recent tweets. He just looks like a lobster, a very painful sunburnt lobster. So, yeah, put some suntan lotion on, Wayne, for Christ's sake.
Oh, but he is. It's unbelievable how massive Wayne is here, though. If you guys are over for the tour last year, you will have seen a bit of that. Wayne Mania. It's like, I mean, what do you guys make of that? Because to you, he's just like, wait, call in a cab when Tommy Kels has had a few too many, making sure he gets home safe.
You know what? He still does that. And there was a couple. I was in the turf a couple of months ago, and some guy was causing trouble. And Wayne could have just said, "I'm a star. I don't need to deal with that." He's the one who sorted it out. He's the one who's talking to the guy outside. It might have been Tommy actually, but I think first and foremost, Wayne is still a landlord, and he's a guy who loves to run a pub. Now, like a lot of us, we've been amazingly lucky in what's happened, and it's changed our whole sort of football experience. But I think Wayne is still the same person that he was 3 years ago, and looks at stuff like a Hollywood launch as in, ooh, it's a bit weird. I'm here, but I'm just gonna go with it. And he is not letting it go to his head. And I think that's the best part of people from Wrexham. They can sort of take this in their stride, and I think that's the town's credit, I think.
I was in the turf last week with him, and I was there yesterday actually in the turf, but I was in the turf last week after popping to the hospital to have a camera up my nose and down my throat. It was fantastic. It was great. But after that trauma, I popped to the turf on a Thursday afternoon about 2:30, and you walk in just for a quick pint, and there was I think it was 3 Australians behind the bar with Wayne having a photo taken. There was a German family in there. There was somebody over from Canada. And then in between taking photos, he's also like cleaning down the tables, taking the glasses, doing all the cleaning. It's like, yeah, just I've known the man for like nearly 20 years now. Just the same guy as he was then. Just a grafter, does Wrexham proud on every level. But yeah, it's great to see that him getting some recognition, and also the turf getting some recognition. Although other public houses are available.
I did. When we were there last, he did tell us that he's been getting like Americans pulling up in cabs, keeping the cab running, coming in, ordering a pint, and then leaving again, getting back into the cab, going back to wherever the hell they were from, probably London. But like, it's become like a pilgrimage site up there. Like, there'll soon be religious connotations about the turf, that it can heal the sick or feed or clothe the naked. But I'm interested.
Are we just talking about Tommy Kels again? Still,
Tommy's. You know what? I've got to be. God bless. I almost said something ridiculous. Tommy can definitely. Did I say heal the naked? I don't know even what that means, but Godspeed, Mr. Kels. How has it changed your lives, this moment? Like, you guys have been doing this you guys have been in it. You guys have been in it long term. And I'm interested, like, when we made the film in your curry house, what's the best curry house in Wrexham?
Is it iJazz, was it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because it was the iJazz. God bless. What a night. I had a dish in the iJazz that was one of the best curries I have had in about the last 10 years. I'm trying to remember what it was. I think there was some goat involved, allegedly. We had a ton of Wrexham fans, hearing them talk about how this Wrexham story has changed their lives outside of football, changed the way it's made them feel, what is possible in life in general. How is it for you guys, following this, talking about this, living this? Like, or is it not?
I got recognised on the school run the other week, so that was a bit surreal.
was it by your kid, Liam?
I think he knows. I think he knows who his dad is. So yeah. But no, that was a bit surreal. But I think it's more. It's like Andy said before. It's about being part of something. I think we've all known that Wrexham and the football club had this saleable quality, but just for years and years and years, you just felt like you were banging your head against a brick wall trying to sort of preach to people. And one person I don't think gets enough credit for this is Spencer Harris, from his time as director, because he always said Wrexham is the football club that represents half a nation in essence. Said sort of running from North Wales, parts of Mid Wales, slightly over into Shropshire, places like Oswestry and things like that. And I think people always thought he was being, a bit, I don't know, naive or big-headed with that. But I think it goes to show. I mean, what we needed was a vehicle, and I don't think any of us could have imagined that it would be what it was with Rob and Ryan. But they've taken it sort of to a broader audience, and lo and behold, what we all thought but never thought would happen has now come true. It's very surreal. You can take it for granted quite a lot, but yeah, when you said about that number plate in Missouri, I think that just hit home for me again, how surreal it all is.
I think
By the
there's
way,
a nice way to sum it up today. I was working from home, and outside mine there was a family walked past, a family of what, 5 or 6, and they were all in Wrexham gear, whether it was a Wrexham shirt, a training top, a tracksuit, and go back to before the pandemic, and that would be Liverpool shirts for the most part, or Manchester City, or Chelsea, or whatever. And now it's like, no, these people are all loud and proud. There's no shame in wearing a Wrexham shirt, and I think that's it's almost kind of helped the town itself rediscover its identity, because I mean, you just look at the brass tacks, the numbers of the attendance we were getting before the pandemic, before the takeover, where during a good run, we'd be getting maybe 4,500 on a massive game. We might get, just over 5,000. Sometimes it could be kind of 2,700, 2,800. And now people, rather than saying like, I'm a Liverpool fan and maybe a bit of Wrexham, now that Liverpool element's gone, or that Chelsea element's gone, or the Man City or the Man United is gone. And now it's, everybody wants to be a Wrexham fan. Everybody's proud to be a Wrexham fan.
I mean, it's amazing. You will have. I always loved coming from Liverpool as a kid because hitchhiking around Europe. If you're from Leicester or Birmingham or whatever, I don't think people really knew where you're from. You say like Leicester, they'd be like cool. But like you say you're from Liverpool, they'd always be like Kenny Dalglish, Graham Souness, like Beatles. Everyone always says, "Oh, the Beatles." You're like, "Oh yes, of course, the Beatles." I'd never thought about that before. Wrexham is very much on the global map now. I mean, it is very, very, very much on the global map, and you're seeing, kids wearing the Wrexham shirt in Wrexham. I can say you're seeing if they can get the kit supply chain kinks, whatever that is, out of the supply chain, there'll be a lot more over here. It was amazing in Philadelphia last year, watching them play Philadelphia, stadium packed with Americans wearing the Wrexham red. I mean, it's kind of mind blowing. It's so early. It's only just begun. As you said earlier, like they are all in. It's not just like what's a Wrexham. Like once they're in, the American sports fan, that pathway from like being interested to being really obsessed is a very thin aperture, and it's been incredible. I mean, ultimately, all we want to do with our network is just in this time of chaos, try and tell good stories about good people that make you feel fleetingly joyous, fleetingly optimistic, feel better about your own life. I don't think there's anything in football which is more powerful and more and just more transcendent than the Wrexham story. It's really only just begun. And as I said earlier, there will be kinks for you guys. The greatest tension in football is the tension between the local and the global. It's always, I speak to Liverpool's CEO, came on our show and talked about that for them, that's always been the, those two, it's a double dance that they're trying to do. And it will continue, but to be on stage, I've actually remembered what theatre we were in, which is somewhat of a minor miracle. I remember anything at this point. We were on in the Hollywood Theatre in Vancouver, which is an amazing. I don't know how many of you are going to be in Vancouver, but it is one of the most beautiful cities. It's a stunning, beautiful place, and to have Wrexham there, to have them live on stage, July 25th, 8 p.m. Tickets are available on our website. We'd love to have any of you guys who are going to be in town come and join us, raise a pint. We'll get a drink with everyone afterwards. And God, to be able to just even touch this story, to be able to present this story, to be able to revel in this story, particularly in this moment when America it's quite a place at the moment. It's bloody amazing. So thank you guys.
No, thank you. I think just going back to the original question, same as what the rest of the guys have said, it's just the common theme of having that sense of pride that we've all had in-house be rubber stamped by an external force, if you like. Somebody's come along and go, oh, we see why it means so much to you. And then that just resonates with every club, anywhere, whether it's baseball, whether it's chess, if it means something to you and you can share that to the wider world, then that's the thing for me. I used to wear my Wrexham shirt in defiance. Now I wear it in elation. Before you would go out and you'd go on holiday and you know what you were going to get. Liverpool, Man United, Everton, a smattering of Milan or Real Madrid. And they'd be like, who is that? Who's your shirt? And now people don't need to ask. They already know. That change, that conversation has flipped from who is your team, what is your shirt, to, oh, you're a Wrexham fan. And then you get the same stories as what Andy was referring to before, with people you've never met in the most random places. And that's the joy. And it goes back to my first memory in the takeover. I was in Spain. I had the first Wrexham TikTok shirt on, went down to the breakfast bar, and I overheard a little kid say to his mum and dad, it's a TikTok shirt. I think it's Wrexham. It's like, it is. So I was like, I'll just chime in and have that conversation with you.
What you just said is incredible. To wear a Wrexham shirt in defiance, to now wear it in elation. That is poetry, man. That is a song that's like a ballad. Should be. I'm sure it sounds better in Welsh even.
I'll get it written. I wish
that for everybody. I wish that for every. I mean, I'll say from afar. This is very from afar. I don't know who'd be listening to this show if they weren't a Wrexham fan, so I can safely say it. But I'm sure if it was like just a general football show, people would tell me I'm an arsehole. So that's fine. One of the things from afar that's amazing. Look, I know there's Wrexham haters. I know there are. I know particularly, teams in the divisions who aspire for their club to rise up to and feel that you guys are like, taking one of the places. Just hurry up and get out the division already so we can all get on. Like, I know there's Wrexham haters. What's shocking to me is how few Wrexham haters there are. Like, Steve Coogan used to say, if you give someone in Britain the choice between their own success and your failure, they'll choose your failure every time. Like, genuine, which I think about a lot. And it's almost, well, it's tribute is a wrong word because it's about suffering, but it's almost a tribute to how Wrexham was seen in the nation, like just like the struggle, the suffering, the hardship. I don't just mean football. I mean, the pits, the collieries, the livelihoods, the destruction of the traditional communities. It's almost like a tribute to me, like how much you guys deserve it. That there's been so little backslash. Like, it's almost been done. It's very hard to do what you guys have done to have success, sustained success now, back-to-back success. And yes, there is definitely an element who are like, sod them. But so many people are still fascinated, mesmerized, and rooting for you. It's a very un-British thing, to be candid. We do love to tell. There's certain points like, all right, you've had your fun now. You're out the National League. Why don't you? Well, we're all waiting for you to fail. But the fact that so many people in Britain are still rooting for you, I think it's a remarkable thing. I don't know if you feel that, or if you are actually feeling more of the negativity. But from afar, it's really, it's almost like watching Houdini escape. You're like,
Rog,
my God.
You've clearly never seen a Notts County Zone on Twitter. that is one. But I think we've got like a couple of things going for us. The fact that proper football historians recognize the history of the football club. And then you've got the owners have a great likability factor to them, Ryan Reynolds, Rob McElhenney. And then also you've got the ones who maybe think of it as just as, it is just this kind of, not a cash grab as such, but it's, it's the whole, who was it? Trying to think which club it was now that said it was Oil Money Wrexham.
Carlisle.
That was it, Carlisle. Oil Money Wrexham, yeah. But there's the other element where people dig into the actual town itself, and you realise that you said that the history of the actual town itself, and the industry that we've lost over the years. So there's a lot going for us in that way. As in, like, yeah, we are a proper football club. Yeah, we've got really nice owners who are quite likable. And yes, as a town, we've had our struggles, and there is a lot of great history there, and a lot of struggles there. So with those factors, there is that. But you're always going to get the idiots that just, as you said, it's kind of a British thing to do. Is, if someone's doing well, let's poo-poo on it just regardless. Even if they're just saying it again, we're Oil Money Wrexham, which makes no sense on any logical level whatsoever. Absolute idiots. But yeah, we've got all those factors going for us where, yeah, it's I don't know. You have to have a proper grudge to hate Wrexham. But then again, we've kind of got like these days, not necessarily fabricated rivalries, but teams that weren't necessarily rivalries before, where like Stockport are all of a sudden a big rival. Notts County are a big rival. Whereas previously, when we played Stockport back when we were in the league, the first time around, going back 16, 17 years, when we were playing them in League One, that time around, it was Stockport was a friendly game. It was, 45 minutes down the road. It was you go there. There was no real. I mean, obviously you always get like a little bit of aggro with certain sections of fans, but it was never too bad. It wasn't so much of a rivalry now because of Stockport want to beat us, Notts County wanted to beat us. All these teams want to beat us, and it's a strange little dynamic we find ourselves in. But for the most part, yeah, most people seem to be wishing as well.
Long may that continue. The last thing I'll say is a lot of that is a tribute to I do think Rob and Ryan have done a remarkable job tone-wise. But Parky is still Parky in the most authentic way. And the players, again, it would be very easy for them to put a foot wrong tonally, message-wise. But they do seem to have, and Parky came on our show. We've been very lucky to interview him. He comes on a bunch. He'll be on stage with us in Vancouver on Thursday night. I mean, the no arseholes policy. Just guys who I think really appreciate this moment, know how rare it is, know there's that in the lower leagues, they've just caught this incredible moment, which has been phenomenal for them. But they understand that it's phenomenal for them because it's phenomenal for the town, the fan base, and that greater journey that you're all on. I think like it does shatter when the players start to take kind of moonwalks and make it about the I and not about the we. But you listen to them again, through last season, we were lucky to have them all come on. And you hear like Ollie Palmer's story, just a journeyman story. Just so many false turns in his career. To me, like the finest quality of a footballer is just tenacity and perseverance. And for him to find a home in Wrexham and to truly appreciate it and revel in it, Moles is probably the best example of that. Speaking to him, like his humility, his empathy. I mean, he's a bloke who's got incredible amount of empathy, and that these are rare human beings who are part of your journey. And I say, long may that continue, the tenacity and the empathy part of it. And so you can continue. What was that line? That you used to wear your jersey in defiance, and now you wear it in, what was your word?
Elation, yeah.
It's beautiful, man.
I think it says a lot when you look at the characters who've left this summer, where as people, you are gutted to see them go. Now, obviously, we've gone up a division again, and it comes down to be frank, quality to play in League One. But in terms of the people behind the players, we're devastated to see a lot of those players go, like a Luke Young, a Ben Toes, and Aaron Hayden, John Tunnicliffe, if he's gone or if he's not gone, because there's now the whole contract dispute thing going on with him. But these are players where, as men, as people, you're gutted to see them go because they've been the right characters who've come in with the right mindset for what we're trying to achieve, where we're trying to go, to fit what Parky's after. So even if, maybe they're not quite up to League One at this point in time, but just you miss those mindsets, and they leave with obviously the greatest respect from a lot of fans because of how they approach the time at the club.
I love that, and it's true. I've lived that. I'll just say, I said earlier, my dad just died 10 days ago. I heard from a lot of people. I would say I heard from a lot of Wrexham players, some of whom you've just named, and that stays with you. Ultimately, you'll all know this, and anyone listening will know this. It's easy to be with people in good times. It's easy to come on our show because you're speaking to America, and it's a lovely thing to do. But you remember the people in your life who were there in the hard times, and to hear from a number of Wrexham players in that moment was something that you remember, speaks really highly. It's so many people in football like, oh, we've got a no arseholes policy here in this club. And you're like, cool. I can say for now, this Wrexham club, like from my limited interactions with it, where I have spent a lot of time with a number of those human beings, it actually rings true. And it is a testament to the culture of the club that's got you this far. And long may that continue. I've got so many questions for you guys about the season ahead, and how you're all feeling, but I don't want to. I'm genuinely curious. Maybe it's best done after the show in Vancouver. But how optimistic are you for this season ahead compared to last year? Like when you were thinking, oh, it's going to be hard, it's going to be tough, they're going to be gunning for us. We're a known entity now. Like, does it feel the same again, or does this feel different?
I think it feels different, and I as any football fan, you rapidly sort of change your predictions, your outlooks as pre-season goes, certainly as the season goes. Look, I always had an idea that we might be able to do League Two just because it was a team that was used to winning, and you more or less had the core of them together to have another go at it. You still had players of the X Factor because they had been buying players with League One in mind. So I always had an idea that with 4 promotion places up for grabs, we could get through League Two. Now, League One, I think, is completely different. I think you're entering a whole new sort of level of competition. You've got the likes of Birmingham. I'm just having a look at who they've been signing. Absolutely, massive names. Big. They're looking with top of the championship in mind. They're those sort of players they're bringing in. So it's going to be tough. I don't subscribe to the sort of we'd be happy with 12th. I think.
That's exactly what I said earlier on in the podcast, by the way, Rog.
Yeah,
I know. Yeah, I'm the consolidation year for me.
But if you look at it, if you look at how Ryan and Rob, the rhetoric, how they talk about it, how they approach things, they want to have another crack at it. They want to go straight through. And I would be delighted if we could get in or around the playoffs, because I also think that helps the documentary as well. And let's put it, we have to be pragmatic about this. We have to tell a story on the pitch as well. And so 12th, you might as well be going for fighting relegation. You need some sort of drama in there. And I think us going for the top 6 for the playoffs, even if we don't get there, I think that is a good season. I've got a sneaky that we might just sneak into the playoffs, but I don't think we're going to do it this season. Go up, I mean.
I was very relieved for many reasons when Everton didn't get relegated at the end of last season. But my nightmare scenario was that we'd miss you on the way down when you were on the way up. So, like, genuinely, I think I'm probably more optimistic about this Wrexham season to come than you guys.
That says a lot about Everton there. Well, I was worried about Wrexham surpassing them in a few years.
By the way, when Tim was talking about the takeover, I mean, it's genuinely every day I'm waking up and opening the papers, desperate to feel that kind of elation that you guys have felt in every regard. How many of you are coming on tour?
Yeah, should be fine.
So So we will raise it. We'll raise a glass on Thursday. I cannot wait. Genuinely, to any of your listeners, come be with us in Vancouver. And if you spent all your money on getting over and the tickets are tough, just drop me a line at meninblazers@gmail.com. I genuinely don't want anyone from Wrexham who's travelled all that bloody way to get over and support your team and to do that pre-season, to not be able to get in. So just drop us a line and we'll do what we need to do to, even if I have to tell people that you are my cousin, we will get you in. You should come, and you should come and revel in your team, and you should come and have a pint with all of us. And all I'd say is it's been amazing watching. I honestly watch just living and dying, mostly for Tommy, knowing what it means to him, knowing what this journey means for him, knowing what he's experienced, and all the characters that we've got to know by shooting this weekly series, knowing what it means to them, watching them week to week. I mean, football is really at its best when it's modern just football, and watching the rise of the north of Wales, deliriously, proudly, authentically. I didn't think I'd live to see that, to see the north of anything in Britain, just rise up, dust itself off, remain the same authentically. I do. What you said, Tim, is so beautiful. I mean, there is the defiance, but to celebrate and to feel great about ourselves, it's not an easy thing up north after everything we've been there, and to watch in the editing suite, Tommy, and all of you just week to week to week to dream, and then have those dreams largely come true. I am a horrible person in real life. 97% of me is Everton fan, but the 3% of me that's a human being, I just look on and feel only joy and wonder and just wish you more and more and more.
I'm gonna carry on with the defiance theme and say, if some team's going to do back to back to back, then why can't it be Wrexham? I just think momentum is a massive thing, and the good thing about all of it is that it suddenly becomes an underdog story again. Remember when people hated the fact that Ryan would call it an underdog story because we were like spending money in the lower leagues? It's a much more level playing field now. So it does feel like you can attribute the underdog story tag to this season ahead. If we do manage to do it, then I think it'll be done. You just mentioned there about percentages. I think it's 97% done on teamwork and bonding, because you mentioned that culture, and to create the culture he's got there in that dressing room is almost like a win before you even set out on the pitch. Genuinely believe it. But this pod should have come with a health warning, like a feel-good health warning. This is all very bells and whistles, sparkling.
I'm kind of obviously I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying the ride, but there's also that part of me. I don't want to say guilt. It's almost like that, Catholic guilt, where yeah, but it's not necessarily guilt, but there's always that kind of thing of like, I don't know, you've cheated on Football Manager and you've got this massive budget and you've smashed through all the teams. So what is how can you? It's hard to appreciate the accomplishment. Obviously, we're very different to that, and we've done it the right way. But I think going, I don't know, 3 promotions back to back to back. I don't know. I think picking up what Andy said before, I think League One is it's a very different kettle of fish, and some of the big teams there, which is probably why I'm Mr. 12th on this, and I'll have that season of consolidation.
Andrew, don't come at me with your rational,
I know
your rational, strategic, data-driven reads. I mean, I do hope. Number one, you know what you're talking about, and I don't. So I'm going to bow down to your sense, your understanding, and the reading. But I do hope. I mean, ultimately, we had Noel Gallagher come on the show. We were talking. I think City had won like 4 titles by the time he came on. He was talking, telling these stories about what it was like to walk to Stoke from Manchester in the rain, and just like get battered 5-0. I asked him at the end, something like, does it feel? I mean, does it feel? How does it feel? And he didn't even have to wait a bit. He goes, "We deserve it. We deserve it." And Mancunians are Mancunians, and so that's another conversation for we had that guy called H, a hip hop performer, come on, and we asked him to describe what Manchester was to Americans, and he goes, "Well, if you think if you hear 4 people arguing and one of them's got a Manchester accent, he's right. No matter what he's saying, he's right." So Manchester is very different to Wrexham, but what Noel said, which I don't think is right for Manchester City, I do think is right for Wrexham. Like, you deserve it, man. Should be no bloody guilt when you guys have stood. I mean, I remember going to race course with my dad when I was a kid, and all I say is, like, you deserve it, man. All of it. And I look at it less about, again, a footballing story and the Ryan and Rob and the spotlight and the investment, which is part of the, like, there is a perfect story here, which is Ryan and Rob buying a team just outside of London. It wouldn't have had any of the same effect on the world's emotional. It had to be Wrexham. It had to be North Wales. It had to be this town. It had to be this fan base, this history, this authenticity, this level of suffering, honestly. It just meant more to reverse that. And so I don't know why I'm telling this to you. You're the one that's talking yourself out of it. So I should let you.
That's
You're
just
a
me.
season ticket holder. But I believe you really bloody deserve it. I mean, you do. The world deserves it, man. It's so incredible to. It's incredible to. Again, last thing I'll say, and I'm going to let you guys get back to your show. To walk around Wrexham now, whereas to walk around Wrexham 5 years ago, to walk around Wrexham 20 years ago. That to me is the story. To see to see the green shoots. Like it's not. This is. I'm not like declaring mission accomplished by any stretch of the imagination. But like to see green shoots in North Wales, in the north of Britain, after everything you've been through, your families have been through, the history's been through, the miners have been through. I think it's incredible. So I'll just leave it at that. I think it's not about the football. It's not about the economics. It's about the life journey. And for that, you deserve all of it and more.
I think it's just hard for some of us where we just got so used to being beaten down for all those years, where it's hard to fully appreciate what's going on. And then to see some of the, I mentioned it a few weeks ago on the pod where the season we got promoted from the National League, and we dropped 2 points at home all season against Woking on a Tuesday night, where it was a 2-2 draw. Woking were the better team by far. We were lucky we got a point, and you walked out the game, and we were second at the time. Obviously, we win the league. We were second at the time. They were third, and you caught the game and the grumbles. And it'll stay with me forever of just somebody saying disgraceful. The players should be disgraced. It's like we've dropped 2 points all season at home.
Salford,
This is
Salford last season. I remember that one when you went away and got dumped, and people like, yeah. I mean, it was like, yeah. I mean, it's those are the moments that you do catch yourself. It's your team, it's your town. So I'm going to shut the hell up again. Everything I'm echoing is from a second state removed. And I think ultimately it changes your own identity. Like you guys have supported this team forever. This team has changed its whole identity, and so you've had to reconsider all of it. It's like, France in the 80s, they loved the valiant defeat, nothing more than Platini playing off his socks. But the German goalkeeper Schumacher just braining, was it Battiston as he charged towards them, and they lost cruelly, harshly, of course, to the Germans. They loved that. That fitted their notion of who they are. France don't win things. France are a noble loss was what they loved. And then they bloody went and won it with Zidane. And they had to change their sense of self. Like a France who wins was like, wow, holy crap, who are we? We don't even know who we are anymore. And you're a Wrexham who wins, and that changes everything. God, an Everton who wins, bloody hell! I hope in my lifetime, lads. I'm going to shut the hell up and give you your show back to your listeners, and let you get back on breaking it all down. But I will say again, you guys do immense work. I'm absolutely elated and delighted to be invited on. You are my first listen of football pods whenever a fresh episode comes out, apart from this one, which I won't listen to. But you're amazing. You do the Lord's work, guys.
Thanks so much. Thanks for
you
all
so
your
much.
comments. It's really kind.
Come and
Cheers.
see
Thank
us.
you.
Come and see us in Vancouver Thursday night.
Get
We'll
down
raise-
there, Hollywood Theatre. It'll be like a positive reinforcement counselling session, which is exactly the feeling I get from what's just happened in the last hour. So
Your listeners are going to be like, who is this dude?
I'm
who's just like...
I'm floating off my chair right now. That's how good I enjoyed that. It was great. So
great to be.
Rog,
We'll
thank you
speak
so
again.
much for your time.
Thanks,
Take
guys.
care.
Rog.
Enjoy.
We'll see you
Travel safely.
soon.
Cheers.
All the best.
Bye.
Take care. Take care. Wow.
Right, we got enough time to do the kit, because we're going for the longest pod ever here.
That's fine. That was good.
Right, very quickly, I'm going to show. Now, Tim is a kit aficionado, so Tim, you take the lead on this. There is the red home kit.
Yeah.
What do we think?
Well, I mean, they've said that it harks back to shirts of a certain era, specifically 77, 78 with a flappy collar. You know what? I think it'd look a lot better if it didn't have that little V thing beneath it. The dragon scale thing. Look, I get there's only so much you can do with a red and white shirt. I get that, but as I stated in the newsletter, which you should sign up for, There are a lot of really good startup and established graphic designers doing all sorts of wonderful stuff with kit designs. A little bit more thinking outside the box. Macron do some amazing stuff. They've been knocking some great stuff out for loads of other clubs. Am I convinced this is one of the better shirts? No, I'm not. But it's a grower. It's always the case, isn't it? You chuck the shirt on, and you love it. But on first hand, I'm not. I'm not rushing out to buy it when it comes out. It's going to be the gold one for me.
You're on mute, Gilbo.
Yeah, I know. Sorry. Absolutely. How many times have we done this? And it's very rare I get. It's usually a work meeting where I'm on mute for about 5 minutes, just rabbiting on. I'm not a home shirt guy. Never really have been. I always prefer the away shirts just because they're different all the time. I don't mind it, but I do think the collar will sort of pull a little bit on the front of the shirt. You can sort of tell that. You can tell that a little bit from how like Elliot and Lily are wearing it. I think the scale, the dragon scale, it's a bit of a gimmick, but it might look nice when you actually touch it. And so I'm reserving judgment on that. I'm more excited for the away.
Hold on. It might look nice while you touch it.
Well, it might just be. It might at the moment you can't really tell what it's going to look like. I think you have to sort of see it. You have to touch it. You have to. It's more of a tactile experience.
I've got some horrible visions of you standing in front of a mirror with a shirt on, just going
scaly,
so scaly.
I actually quite like it. I'm not gonna lie, I quite like it. I like the collar. I'm a very simple creature. That's why I'm sat around in the Bret the Hitman Hart t-shirt. But yeah, no, it's fine with me. I'm cool with that. I look forward to seeing the rest of the shirts in the flesh. But yeah, it's okay. It's okay. I give it maybe a 7 out of 10. I'm not gonna go
like I'm a bit like Gold Member and Austin Powers. I just want to see the gold shirt.
Are you flaking? Are you flaking? Is that it?
Yeah, I don't want to paint anyone's Yoo-hoo gold, but there's something about a gold shirt which does it for me.
What about the price? What about the price? In real time terms, it's a fiver more than last season, but that's the trajectory we're going to have, isn't it? The kits are always going to go up in price each season, and I think the other thing, Tim, I think you brought it up. It's having a change of free complete shirts, not having one that struggles both seasons. I know it's a money making, and I know they will make a lot of money from it, but it just seems to me that we are having a lot of kids who want the Wrexham shirts in and around Wrexham and beyond, and that seems like a huge expense if you want to kit them out in all three. Really,
that needs to change. That is the one thing I would say. Like adults kits, it's the going rate. It's fair enough, but people have done comparisons on places, and the general going rate seems to be about 50 quid for like a kid's full kit. I'm sure someone said ours is closer to 80. So if there's anything that needs to change on the price points, it's that basically.
The price points are mad because you've got 60, then I think it's 55 and 45 for a kid's shirt. 5-6 years ago, 45 quid was your adult shirt. That's a fact. And in my head, I always associate 40 to 45 quid with the purchase of a shirt. 60 quid upwards. Is it going to go up again? I think 60 is your absolute max. I think the minute you start going into 70, 80 quid territory, you then start putting those terms like, whatever it is, like match ready shirts. Like, come on, was it like extra special dragon scales?
Made from authentic dragon, is it?
Yeah, I mean, maybe that extra fiver goes to the dragon skinners. I don't know, but I mean, at the end of the day, 60 quid is your top whack ceiling. It should not be no more than that. And they need to look at, in future, if you're going to change the kits every year, 3 kits all the time, just keep one. Keep one for 2 years. It's not asking much. My overriding feeling is the reason they've gone with 3 again is that the last hurrah from Macron, in terms of their deal with them. Probably.
All United.
Yeah. Very, very likely. Yeah, I don't know, but yeah, who cares if we're wearing a bin bag, a collared shirt, gold hot pants? If it gets us promoted again, it'll be well remembered. So we'll see.
See, with my naivety in terms of kit prices, over the summer during the Euros, if Wales are at a tournament, I always like to support the Netherlands. That's like my team to go to, and it's like I find myself a Netherlands shirt, blah 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 blah, on JD sports website, ordered what I thought was the shirt for 45 quid, thinking that's about right. When it arrived, it was a shorts. I paid £45 for shorts, which I did send back, and the shirt was 80 quid. It's like, nah, I'm okay. I'm good. I'll wear one of my my old ones. But I don't know. It's slightly sidetracking, but I thought it was weird when we talk about the cost of things. How the Bournemouth game, you could watch it through iFollow on Wrexham for a tenner. The Bournemouth website was showing it for a fiver. And again, it's like, it's kind of, a little bit shitty.
Wrexham tax. It's
That
Wrexham tax.
stream,
Oh,
that
it's not. It
stream,
is
by the
exactly.
way,
Yeah.
that stream, by the way, was weird. I thought 10 quid. I was like, but people were kicking off about it. I thought, well, maybe we'll get some match interviews during the game because it's like a friendly. Maybe, Phil, tell us what you're thinking. There's literally no commentary. So I know like Mark Griffiths had a couple of pelters over the years for whatever reason. It gives up his time to do it. Careful what you wish for, because football without commentary is nothing, to paraphrase another well-known phrase. So yeah, it was weird. It was horrible having to listen to football or to watch football with no commentary. It was odd, very strange.
Right. Let's sort of end this, but can I just say one thing? I feel that there is Wrexham tax on stuff, whether it be your shirts are a little bit more expensive, rather it be the stream is twice as much as the other stream. And I think certainly with the Leyton Orient revealing their prices for an away game, and because Wrexham are now category AA, that's 37 quid if you go there on the day. If that gets replicated, we talk about this in the newsletter. If that gets replicated 23 times through the season, that's an extra 250, 60 quid just for being a Wrexham fan. It's fine for them to have a few category 1, 2, or 3 games, but away fans should be taken out of that equation. Away fans should pay a normal going rate for an away ticket, because if everyone does this, it's going to cost us an absolute fortune, and it's not right.
There we are. We've managed to bring a positive pod on a nasty downer.
I'm going to go and kick a flower bed now. That's how strongly I feel about that.
Make sure there's cactuses in it, or cacti.
Yeah.
What's your favourite cactus, Andrew?
Where was
Cactus Jack, obviously. Mick Foley. Simple.
Yeah.
Those gladioli in next door's garden, better watch out. They are going to get kicked the shit out of when this is over.
It sounds like the fellow who went on to beat the shit out of his panel in the microwave. Bootlegger's mate. Spencer. No, I can't remember his name. Yeah, Spencer.
Yeah. Are you looking for a cactus, Andy?
We had one up here. I don't know what's happened to it.
You destroyed it. That's what happened.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I must have come home and kicked it. Right. I've really enjoyed today, but I'm fed up of looking at you. So
as is everybody watching this. So thanks for listening. Thanks for sticking by. Like, subscribe, comment, all that jazz. Get the newsletter.
Check out the Fat Ball. Also the Mice going on Friday. Arsenal team reunion. Throw that in there.
Yeah. All that sort of jazz. Thanks very much. Cheers.
Bye.
Up the cactus.